To all of the South African Afrikaans refugees that are coming to America soon, I just want to let you know, as someone whose wife is Afrikaans, who's been to South Africa multiple times, you're gonna have a bad time. There's no white genocide happening in South Africa. You have crime that's happening as a result of racism-fueled generational economic inequality, the same thing that's happening in America. We're just a couple decades ahead of you on the unchecked capitalism timeline. But I have good news for you. You don't have to worry about the cheap exploited labor rising up against you anymore, because now that you're in America, you'll get to be the cheap exploited labor. If you were middle class or upper middle class in South Africa and you come to America, you're poor now. Like, really poor. You're not gonna have maids and gardeners and personal servants that you can pay $15 a day for. Now you get to be the cheap labor. But by all means, please come to America and experience the American capitalism that Elon Musk's been raving about to you. You'll probably love it. You know, what do I know? There's probably very little chance that you'll end up going back to South Africa in a year or two after realizing how overpriced and fucked up America is. I wouldn't even worry about that as a possibility. And if you think I'm being mean to these people because I think they're a bunch of racist, bigoted colonizers who wish they could go back to apartheid South Africa, it's just because I do think that. But to them, I say, welcome to the American dream. Please let me know when you've woken up from it.
Just in terms of the logistics around this departure and the 49, and will they be a different group? Are you able to just let us know, is this the first group? Are there other groups that will be leaving?
Well, in terms of the application we have, this is the only group. There's only one flight involved. So far we haven't received any other applications. So I can confirm that this is the only group that we have.
So y'all want me to believe Trump is putting America first by allowing white Afrikaners to be refugees, to come here to these United States of America and be provided housing, a cell phone, food, diapers, all that. Meanwhile, we have veterans homeless. We have American taxpayers struggling. And you want me to believe he's not racist either, because God knows he's deporting undocumented taxpayers, okay? He's deporting babies who are 2 years old and can't fend for themselves, so they got to go with the family. They got deported, okay? Mind you, he's deporting people with visas who went through the legal process, but still getting rid of them. But we're going to invite these white Afrikaners here to America, and we're going to give you all the things you need. But he's not racist, and he's putting America first. That's the nation that I'm living in right now. That's the nonsense that you guys continue to speak, and the goalpost constantly moves. Y'all have no foundation of morals, of anything. You don't.
So South Africa's own government is even coming out today and telling Trump, if you want to take on these refugees, that's on you. But just so you know, none of them have been properly vetted. A lot of them have been involved in protests that are pro-apartheid. And on top of that, these guys are actually claiming that they're being persecuted for being white. I don't know if you know a whole lot about South Africa, where Elon Musk is from, but the apartheid just ended not very long ago. If you don't know what that is, it was mass segregation. South Africa's government also came out and added that it's really hard to be a refugee of persecution when you're amongst the most highest earners and highly educated in the entire region. But in my personal opinion, this kind of gives me remnants of Operation Paperclip, what the U.S. government did after World War II. They got a little over 1,500 German scientists and high-ranking officials from the military, Hitler's military, to come over to the United States so they could learn from them. Now, I'm no mathematician, but 2 + 2 = 4. What Trump's been doing here in the United States as far as deporting individuals, they've all been brown people. And now he's more than willing to bring thousands of white people claiming they've been persecuted by brown people without even fully vetting them. The answer to this simple mathematical equation is Trump wants more white people in the United States. If it ain't white, it ain't right. And that's literally Trump's mindset. You can't prove me otherwise.
They only want white people here. Because when we think about refugees who need immediate resettlement, expedited screenings, we usually think about people who are fleeing extreme violence, persecution, famine, war in places like South Sudan, Myanmar, the Congo. not white Afrikaners. See that chartered plane the Trump administration is sending? It's not going to collect refugees that have been sitting in resettlement camps for years, fully vetted, waiting to come to the United States to escape violence. No, it's going to South Africa to collect white people who claim they're being discriminated against. Why would they be getting discriminated against? Probably because they spent generations instituting legalized forms of racial segregation and discrimination called apartheid, aka Stephen Miller's wet dream. See, while the rest of the world after World War II saw that maybe racial discrimination not such a hot idea and favored more policies of integration and away from colonization, Afrikaners doubled down on that shit and instituted apartheid. Although it ended over 30 years ago, the social and economic legacies of apartheid continue today. South Africa is the most unequal country in the entire world, according to the World Bank, with white South Africans earning over 12 times what black South Africans do. But don't worry, we're going to make sure that the white Afrikaners who instituted generations of discrimination and segregation against black people get everything they need to get started here in the United States in their new life.
So, starting yesterday, the U.S. is receiving its first batch of white South African nationals that have been extended the privilege of coming to the United States as refugees from South Africa. This first batch is 8,000 of these people. So the American people didn't want this, don't want this. It's crazy because when Donald Trump took office, he discontinued almost entirely the refugee program. And there were like 22,000 people from different countries seeking refugee status and in the process of receiving denial or approval for the refugee status to reside in the United States due to issues in their country, which are always based and caused by, no matter what they are, the destabilization that the United States and the West has caused at some point, some way. Donald Trump discontinued this program almost entirely and threw all of these 20-something thousand people back to their countries. You come to the United States as a refugee because you're fleeing political persecution or ethnic persecution, political blah, 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 forms of persecution. These Afrikaners are not being racially discriminated against, but I will tell you something, and I hope this is not taken the wrong way. I worked in South Africa in 2017 and 2018 for their National Assembly, and I was able to meet some of these characters because they have a party in the parliament there called the Vryheid something first party. It's a minority party, and their party fundamentals are based on the party is based on two fundamentals, okay? These are very racist people, the most racist shit I have ever heard in my life come out of these people's mouths. And the fundamentals of their party, their politics, is the staunch opposition to affirmative action and the staunch opposition to black economic empowerment. These people are descendants of the colonialists from the Netherlands. They came into South Africa in 1948 and before that, really, and stole all of the land. So they make up like 13% of the population in South Africa, and they own like 95% of the land. Like literally one person will have 20 or 25,000 acres that they and their lineage stole. And they are colonialist minded to this day. They are slave mentality, like slave owning mentality. They are, they exist in South Africa, and black people are not allowed where they live unless they have a permit for work, like a housemaid or something. And they're the cause for South Africa being one of the most unequal countries in the world, according to the World Bank, to this day. And while apartheid ended in 1990, you wouldn't know it going to South Africa by the way that the black people, the black South Africans, are treated versus these jackasses. And that is what they are. They are fucking ignorant, evil people. I mean, they call themselves Boers and shit like that. I'm telling you, the stuff that they say, and it's like every single one of them that I met that are... almost 200 of them in this party. I didn't work for this party. This party is just in the assembly. All are like that. Like they are like in their regular conversation are like, black people don't have no intelligence. And this is the shit they say all the time, right? And it's why there's racial divide in South Africa like it is, because this minority still has a grip. So Donald Trump, at the behest of Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, with their insistence that these particular group of white people are facing racial discrimination because the National Assembly, the government of South Africa, has enacted a land back policy, which is technically expropriation without compensation, which you stole the land. You don't need to be compensated to have one person, and they will tell you, we worked hard for this land. You didn't work this is what they believe. And it's 20,000 acres, and one person will tell you that his grandfather worked hard for the land. His grandfather came from Israel and the Netherlands and stole the land by murdering the people that had it for generations. And these people that are coming to the United States, I do not like them. And nobody else is going to like them. They're not coming here because they are under oppression. They are coming here with a sense of entitlement and their wealth, and for a reason. But as they're being provided refugee status only as the exception to the rule, everyone else, no one gets this status ever again because the program is being discontinued. For 12 months at least, they have housing completely paid for. They have all of their food, all of their clothing, all of their amenities, cell phones and travel vouchers. In some cases, even they will be provided vehicles. Guess who pays for all of that when it comes down to the bottom sifting? U.S. taxpayer funds are who get those funds are derived from U.S. taxpayer funds. When everybody was yapping about the people that like Florida and Texas was flying to New York, the migrants last year and the year before that, and they were saying they're getting vouchers and they're getting free food and subsidies, and they weren't. Well, these 8,000 plus are going to get all of that for at least a year. And then after a year, they'll be able to change their status to permanent legal resident. And now half of the Afrikaners have an issue with coming to the United States as a refugee. But the ones that understand the agenda are the ones that are coming. And they're coming with entitlement and they're coming with wealth. And it's going to cause racial division. I'm just being straight up with you. These Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Peter Thiel do not have any fucking good, genuine interest in the well-being of anyone, much less South African white people. And I'm just telling you that Zionism is all in it. Zionism and Nazism were in South Africa at the end of apartheid in 1990, deeper than what Nazism was at the height of Nazi Germany in the 30s and 40s. And we can't forget that in 1994, 4 years after apartheid ended, in the year that the first democratic election took place, conservatives in the U.S. Congress were wearing ribbons that said "Hang Mandela." And so this is the mentality of people that are coming here. And they have existed and maintained their apartheid mentality, and all that truth and reconciliation was just like denazification. It was all a sham and a show. And so these people are coming here and they're going to get U.S. taxpayer funded privilege for a year. Meanwhile, we're deporting U.S. citizens. We are at the threshold of suspending the writ of habeas corpus. Due process is something that is scoffed at. There are more homeless people now than ever before, including children who are without house, without food, without electricity, without running water. But these privileged white racist MFers are coming here under the guise of a refugee so that everything is funded, but for a different agenda than what is being let on to the American people. And largely, the American people don't even know anything about this happening. But the administration is so about it that they're going to Dulles Airport with a welcoming ceremony with a flock of government officials. So this is, and the Jews are all in South Africa with the Afrikaners, training them to be snipers in an anticipation for this conflict over this land back measure that they do believe will escalate into a conflict at some point in the future. So I don't think that Americans should be welcoming to these people. I know that sounds, to some people on the surface of it, it might sound immature. And we don't want any of that racist shit here. We are dealing with our shit, but you will see when these people are here and it's attention on them that Americans, the American culture on white and black issues will make us look revolutionarily evolved compared to these backwards knuckle dragging white supremacists, because they are real white supremacists. They are white supremacist minded currently. They are colonialist minded currently. They are apartheid minded currently, and they are slave master minded currently. And it's going to cause fucking chaos. And that is why I believe they're being brought here.
In recent years, a number of white South Africans have sought asylum or resettlement in countries like the United States, citing concerns over crime, economic instability, and, in some cases, claims of racial discrimination or persecution. While the scale of this migration is relatively small compared to global refugee movements, it has drawn attention in certain political and media circles. Some view these migrants as economic refugees seeking better opportunities, while others argue their claims highlight complex issues within South Africa's post-apartheid society. The matter continues to stir debate around race, privilege, and the criteria for refugee status in host countries.